everybody, and thank you so much for joining us for today's program, brought to you by the Arts Council of Wichita Falls, Region 9, and the National Endowment for the Arts. Now, we're going to head and start off by asking that each class mute their microphones if they aren't already, and there's also going to be time at the end of the program to ask some questions. If the kiddos have any questions, we'll make sure we have time for that, and teachers will be able to enter the questions in the chat tab. So just a friendly reminder before we get started today. But we are going to be taking a close-up look at the corn maze at Morath Orchards in Charlie, Texas, which from Wichita Falls, which is where I'm located right now, is about a 20-minute time and travel away from there. So here's a quick look at the orchards. You can see all of the maze. We're talking about corn mazes today. So that's their corn maze, and that's just a partial amount of it. There's so much to be seen, and they even constructed to celebrate a theme, and I believe this year's theme is, it looks like a baseball field. They have baseball bats, they've made the bases. You can't see it from here because you're on the ground, but if you look up from the sky, you can see a wonderful design. But this is what it looks like when you go through a corn maze. You can tell it's really tall, so they make sure you can't see anything outside of it. That way you can find your way in and out, and you get to see all of the plants and all of the corn that's been growing and that's been constructed to make it what it is today. So this is just a little bit of how it would go down if you were in there yourself. You got to make sure you get in and out successfully, and you want to go on a beautiful day like it was right there. See, there was a dead end. He didn't want to go that way unless he wanted to walk through that corn, which probably wasn't the best of ideas. So he's probably going to take that path next to him. There he goes right there. So in case anyone's never been to one before, this is the idea of it all. It is a fun time though if you ever want to go check it out in person. And as you can tell, there's a lot of work that goes into it as well. Okay, I think he's going to go to the right. He went to the right. Let's see what is on the other side. Oh, more maze. We got to walk through it all and see where we get. Where are we going? All right, there's another dead end. Is he going to walk through the corn? I don't think so. I don't think that's a good idea for him. He's going to turn to his left, and he's going to continue forward. So this is, like we said, what you would do if you were in the corn maze yourself. Sometimes it's fun to go with friends so you're not alone. Watch out for those puddles there. He has a little bit of puddles right there. And this is what it would be like if you and your friends went. It's a lot of fun to go with friends too, to figure it out together, figure out your way. And it's kind of an accomplishment at the end of it all too. You feel super accomplished when you succeed and find the exit. But look at that, such beauty right there. It's a beautiful day all over the maze, and it's just something to look out to, but you can't find an alternative route. He has to keep going. So pretty, but yep, there it is. You're getting an inside look right there, and it's gonna be, it just looks like an exciting afternoon. Now you're probably wondering, like me, how long in distance this is. I'm wondering that myself. Hopefully we'll get to ask those questions here in just a little bit, but it takes a while to construct. Takes up a large bit of land as well, so probably a decent amount of miles that go into this. So you can always take your dear sweet time when walking through. Even if you just want to enjoy the day and you're not in a hurry to finish it, you can just walk, have a Sunday stroll, and enjoy all that's around you, all that beautiful nature right there, all the harvests. Now, if you're thinking about how tall that corn might be, so the person who's walking that maze right now, they're probably around 5'7", 5'8". So that corn might just be a little taller. So it's probably close to six foot. Hey, I'm not calling him short. It's just around that height, probably around my height. So it's probably close to 6 foot. And see, here's a good photo opportunity right there. You can find one in there if you ever want to take a picture. They're referencing the Sandlot. That's a great photo opportunity for anyone who wants to get behind there and have a big smile and for the pictures. Alrighty, I think we might have someone on the line who knows a lot about mazes. Is Will there?
Yes, can you hear me? Keep talking. Can you hear me?
Hi Will, how are you today?
Good.
Good. Now everyone on the phone with us is Will Morath. He is one of the owners of Morath Orchards, which is the owners of this corn maze. He actually also helped design it as well. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so give us a little insight as to how the stages of the corn maze go, like the production of it all. So what are your beginning stages?
So to start the year, we'll start by plowing the ground to get all the weeds and whatever leftover stalks from the year before plow. And then once the ground's clean and we have some moisture from a rain or irrigation, we'll start planting it. Yeah, video. We plant the corn in two directions, north and south and east and west. That way it's on a grid pattern, the same as like grass paper you would look at. And then we count then we can count the rows each direction and put the same amount of rows on grass paper. And then that way we can draw out the map however the design is going to be.
Well, speaking of design, I know you can't see it right now, but everyone's looking at that design for this year. It's a baseball theme. So over to your left, you could see a baseball, and then on your right, you see a bat. And then in the middle, you can see the baseball field, you know, all four bases that you would run to, just the whole diamond right there in front of you. And you have even the lettering, you know, home of Morath. It's a very intricate style deal, and it shows, you know, just with what you were explaining too, you know your stuff. So you've been in the farming industry for a while and for many years, I believe. How long has your family been in the farming and agriculture business?
My parents moved out to Charlie in 1981 and bought this farm here, and some of their parents and grandparents farmed as well, but we got this place in Charlie in 81, and that's when they started the fruit vegetable farm out here.
Wow, so that's over 40 years of farming, 40 years of agriculture you've been a part of in Charlie. So that's pretty much a few generations of farmers right there. You know, how many family members, you know, lately do you have working on the farm?
Well, I have 5 siblings, including me, and everybody's married and has children, so my parents and some of my siblings help on the farm still, and some of their kids also that are in junior high and high school work. So there's more than 10 of us in the family that work on the farm.
And like we said, multi-generational as well, 3 generations worth of your family, which is a wonderful thing to keep running and keep it the business going like that. So, you know, family businesses can be fun for a lot of people to be a part of. And we know one thing that your family in particular has been focused on with Morath Orchards is like the ag tourism. So explain for all of us who aren't aware, what is ag tourism and why is it that your family wanted to add that to your business?
Agritourism is when you get people to come out to the farm to see what you have going on, how you grow your fruits, vegetables, or whatever it is that you're doing. We decided to do it just to add a different portion to our business and to let people that never get to come out to a farm side thing to see how it grows. We also do strawberries and pumpkins and flowers and different stuff like that to let people see how that stuff grows.
That's awesome. So keeping it going year long, and it's making it a tourist attraction for your business, and that, you know, Corn Maze is a great example of this. So how long have you been building that corn maze on your property? What is the timeline of that?
Uh, can't.
In case you didn't hear me, what's the timeline of building that maze, that corn maze?
What's the timeline of building corn maze? So we plant the corn maze in the 1st of July, the first couple of weeks, and then it takes about 3 weeks for the corn to get about 8 inches tall, and then that's when we go through with the spray paint and looking at our graph paper to go through and start cutting and mowing with the lawnmower, and then it takes another couple months, and by the 1st of September, it's normally 7 to 9 foot tall.
Wow, that's a lot of things you have to think about right there. So that's not even talking about the design aspect of it all. So what is it that, how do you start in the design portion of the maze? What gets your creativity flowing on that?
I just try to think about stuff that I think would look good as an overview. And this year I was talking to some of my siblings, and we decided to do a baseball field. So with the baseball field, I decided to put, the home and the visitor in the back and the ball. So we, on a computer, we put the size of the grid on there, and then we picked out our design, the main overview, and put that on the graph paper. And then once it's on there, then we go through and hand draw with a pencil. I make all the trails to make it look like a maze.
And that's a really great thing. Now, you start off by planting the seeds, right? And that's not even kind of putting it where you want it to go and the structure of it to meet the design. So how do you get it into the field to meet up your design idea?
What was the question?
So the question is, how does he move it after he's planted it to create the design in the field? How does he, maneuver all of the corn to get it in place exactly where he wants it?
Okay. So, I plant all the corn into 2 directions, north and south and east and west. So all the corn is in all the rows. So to get the trails there, I just use a lawnmower once I have the design marked out in the field, and I just continue to mow that design out weekly to keep the corn down. So the corn and the grass will just keep growing, so you kind of have to continually mow it until it gets to the point where it stops growing down the trail.
Now, how much attention, a lot of things you have to think about, it's different phases of time. You have to go out there making sure everything is watered properly, or it's been watered enough, whether naturally or by, hand. How often are you having to keep an eye on this, just watching over it all? It seems kind of, maybe it's more tedious than we think. How much of your attention has to go into that every year?
In the heat of the summer, whenever it's 110 degrees outside and windy and doesn't rain, you got to watch it almost every day to keep track and make sure it's not getting too wilty. And so we hope for rain, but if we can't get rain, I have drip irrigation underground, which is a tape that has a little water emitter on it about every 2 foot or a foot, and so we section the field off into 3 2-acre sections, and that drip tape is every 40 inches across the field. So whenever we're running the water, it's like it gets rain down underground.
Wow, and how
the irrigation well.
Wow, and how big would you say this maze is?
This one is about 6.5 acres.
6.5 acres. Gotcha. So people can spend a good amount of time walking around 6.5 acres for those who aren't familiar with the distance of it.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably 1.5 miles to 2 miles of trails inside of that.
Wow, that's a good afternoon stroll. Now, what kind of corn do you use? We're talking about the planting of it all, but what corn specifically is it that you use to plant the maze?
This corn is a silage variety. So there's sweet corn that you mostly find in the grocery store at the farmer's market that you can eat, and then there's field corn variety types that are more for production of grain for cattle or pigs or whatever animals. And then there's the solid variety also makes a bunch of grain as well, but it has a bunch of leafy grain stalks on it to produce more yield of product per acre.
Gotcha. And so you think about it, whenever the maize closes for the day or for the year, you know, specifically, what happens to all that corn? Do you use it or do you throw it away? What happens to that corn after you're done with it?
So at the end of the season, we'll let everything dry out, and being winter, it'll freeze and it'll all turn brown. And about December or so, we'll go through with the combine, which will take all the seeds off the corn stalks, and then that's the seed for pigs or animals or wholesale.
Wow. Now that's, hey, you have a lot of details going on in there too. I can really appreciate it. You put a lot of thought into it, beginning, middle, and end. And even after that, it sounds like a year-long process to enjoy during this time of year. And I know so many people appreciate it too. So tell us a little bit about the sustainability aspect, that's a part of your business. How important is it to your family business?
So that was one thing we kind of wanted to implement and that's part of the agritourism, is using a field of corn that we can get the grain and stuff off of, but also be able to cut the trails in it for people to be able to walk through it, see, and to be able to add a little bit extra to our farm throughout the year.
All right. Well, so thank you so much for all of that information. Well, we so appreciate it. Stick around with us if you don't mind. I'm going to go ahead and maybe open it up now to the students and the teachers over in the schools that are joining us. Guys, it's your time to shine. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask Will about his corn maze or about Morath as a whole, we're welcoming those questions. You can put them in the chat and we'll be ready to read them up. And I know Will seems like a pro. He'll have all of the answers for you. He knows what he's talking about. So make sure you get those questions in, teachers. Open up those chats. It is now time, and we're going to be waiting on that. Now, Will, do you have any fun facts while we're waiting on those questions to come in? Do you have any fun, like interesting facts that maybe some people would never know about a maze, a corn maze, or anything in general like that?
Are you asking me?
All right, I believe so. Now, guys, real fast, we're going to let you know for the students who do want to ask questions, we are going to go ahead and unmute their mics, so we will be able to hear them during this broadcast, and they'll be able to ask those questions themselves. So for anyone, I believe, who has a question, it is that time. So let's see, let's check our chat rooms real fast and our microphones and see if anyone is opening up those mics real quick. Oh, Will, real fast while we're also waiting, how much would it be for the cost for a student to enter your maze? What cost will that run them?
So from 0 to 4 years old is free, and 5 years and up is $10 per person.
That sounds like a bargain to me. Sounds like a good one. Now, here we go. I have another question for you. Another student was asking online, how long does it take for the corn to grow? Does it all kind of grow at the same time? Like, you know, say for instance, if the rain didn't come through the way you wanted it, what would the speed of the growth be for the corn then?
So once the ground has enough moisture and the seeds start to come up, it takes about 3 weeks to get a foot tall, and then after that it'll grow almost a foot a week until it's 8 to 10 foot tall, depending on the weather.
Gotcha. You're talking about a girl who's impatient just to wait an hour. So y'all are very patient just to wait even that amount of time. So, and then people would like to know, it's already mid-October, so how long can they expect the maze to stay open for this season?
We will be open till the last weekend in October, so this weekend and then 2 more weekends. So 3 weeks left.
All right, so there's several opportunities for those students and their families to come check it out a couple weekends. So if you have plans this weekend and you can't make it, it's always a good time to go ahead and plan ahead and just tell everyone, hey, we're making plans. We're going to go to Morath Orchards. We're going to go to the maze. So something to keep in mind for sure. Now, we also have another question from a student. They want to make sure they have the details right. How do you grid the design and plant the corn every year, since there is different designs that you have to worry about?
I plant the corn north and south, and then I also plant it east and west. The rows on it are every 30 inches, so every 30 inches across the field is a square. So it's just like a big grid paper you're looking at. And then we draw out the design on the grid paper. And when drawing the design, make sure that your rows aren't getting too close together. So I have to make sure there's at least, say, 5 to 8 rows in between the next row path for people to walk on. And then we'll go out there with spray paint while looking at the grid paper and count across the grid paper, looking, say, 10 rows north, 5 rows west, and put a mark, and then we'll walk that path with the spray paint, marking it, and we'll do that across the whole field until the entire design is done.
Well, so once that stage is complete and you kind of get it where, when you're in the end process of it, it's hard to kind of see what the finished product is in general because you're on the ground. So do you use any special equipment just to kind of make sure it was the way you wanted it to look? Do you use a drone? Do you use any other type of camera footage or equipment to see the finished product? How do you get to see it?
Yeah, so once we get it all cut out, I have a drone that I'll fly up and take a picture, a video from up top, so it'll let me know if I got all the rows in the right spot.
That's nice. And so also, I know that you're a big part of this and one of the main people to make sure this comes to life. But how many people are involved in the process from beginning to end?
Getting it all growing is there's 2 or 3 of us that do that portion of getting the corn growing and keeping the irrigation going. And it takes 2 or 3 people at a time to mark out all the paths in the maze. And once we got all the paths set and the corn's growing, then it's just kind of waiting for it to open up in the fall.
Gotcha. And I know that there isn't just a maze there. You have a lot of land to cover, a lot of activities you probably have going. I see some targets behind you there too. What other activities do you have for kiddos and their families to enjoy if they make their way out there?
Yeah, we have a corn slingshot. We have some hay bales for the kids to run on top of. We have tetherball, cornhole, giant connect board. We have some swings that we built, and we have pumpkins to pick out for decorating or whatever you want to do with them. We sell desserts like ice cream, pecan pie, sweetbreads, and on the weekends I cook brisket and hot dogs to serve at night.
Now, what is it, your favorite part, though, at this time of year and this season? What is it that you look forward to most when this all comes around again?
I like seeing everybody come out and enjoy all the stuff we've worked hard on all year, trying to prepare for everyone.
That's something that sounds like a great, enjoyable thing for you. Also, we want to know something interesting, too. So, of course, you got to think about when it's a maze, you got to find your way out. Has anyone ever gotten lost? And I'm talking lost, like in the depths of it all.
Yes, I've had people look our number up and call, and I've had to go in there and find them out in the middle of the maze and walk back up.
Have you ever gotten lost because you're having to find them?
I definitely got turned around sometimes, but normally I've looked at the map so much and cutting it out that I can figure it out.
Well, hey, at least if you were wearing the shirt you're wearing now, which is the whole maze itself, you could always find your port of entry and your port of exit. So it works out for you. You got a cheat sheet right there on your shirt. Well, before we start to wrap things up, Will, is there anything else you would like for these students to know about your ag business, or just what they can enjoy here in the coming weeks?
We just have like so we'll be open here for the next 3 weeks, and then also we'll start planting our strawberries this next week, and then they'll be ready for people to come out and do
Well, we so appreciate you giving us an insight into your corn maze and all around it. I know a lot of people are going to be looking forward to making their way out there in the next few weeks, and we hope to see you there. I know Will will probably be there too, so he can't wait to meet you. You can tell him all about watching this in class. Well, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. We are running out of time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you so much, kiddos, for joining us. We so appreciate it, and we want to thank you for joining us, as well as say a special thanks to our crew with KFDX. They provided our live feed right there from Charlie, so we appreciate them getting in and phoning in for us. And, you know, on behalf of Region 9 and the Arts Council, we thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day.